All right, that's it. We're going to get going. Everyone's got places to be. My name is Matthew. I co-founded a business called 2H Media. We have been part of the Shopify Meetup system, the Meetup community for like 4.5 years now. So long before COVID, we used to do all of these things in person, bringing education to people that like selling product online. So by no means do you need to be on Shopify to get value out of this. This entire presentation is designed for the Shopify core product. So we're not going to touch any plus features today. So as long as you've got a paid Shopify subscription at any level, all of the information today is going to be useful to you. So we're not talking about anything specific. So we're going to keep everyone together. I want to introduce Aaron, who is right here on my screen. Aaron, there's Aaron.
Hello.
Aaron works at 2H Media as well. He is my business partner. Cool. He knows way more about Shopify than I do, but he's a little under the weather today, so we're going to limit how much Aaron is actually speaking. Aaron is going to be in charge of answering all of your questions in the chat. So I'm going to try my best not to talk too fast. If you have a question at any point, you can absolutely message in chat. All I would ask is that you message everyone so everyone can read the question. We will repeat it so that everyone can stay on board and engaged. If the question is going to be pertaining to something further in the presentation that we're going to get to anyways, we'll wait on it. If it's something timely and specific, we'll hit it. But there's going to be time for a lot of other questions at the end too. So please feel free to message us at any and all points going forward. The slides and the video are going to be made available shortly after the presentation is over. So yes, cool, take notes, do what you need to do. There are about all of the information is yours. It's completely free. I need your email address to send it to you. That's pretty much it. And that's going to be made available. Videos are going to be on YouTube. The slides are going to get sent to you through an email. Cool. Beyond that, we're ready to get going. So cool. Let's get going. Cool. That's us. You should be seeing that slide right now with my face and Aaron's face and not working from my home office in my living room. Cool. So yes, we are a marketing agency. We're a Shopify partner. We've been doing this quite a while. We have quite a few skill sets under our belt, and we've been doing this a little while. Today, we're talking all about user personas and the customer journey. So really, it's about kind of the strategy behind who we're actually selling products to, who we're engaging with on social media. Yes. If you want, you can connect with Aaron and I. LinkedIn, we hang out on LinkedIn. You can connect with the business on LinkedIn. You can just Google or search that Matthew Herschel, Aaron Merch. We'll be on LinkedIn. We're pretty active. We announce all of our workshops and things through that. And all of that stuff is kind of free. So if you want to join, you can join. If you're not, that's okay too. Totally up to you. Right on. Next. Cool. What we're actually going to get into today, because that's actually why you're here. We're going to learn about what a persona is, why they're important, how to actually build one. And we've got some templates for you that you can either use in a digital fashion or you can print them off. We're going to then take those personas and then talk about what a user journey is, the stages, and then what you can do after the workshop to actually take these tools into your own business. What is cool, I will mention that right now. So if you follow along at the end of this, you will have it started. By no means will I promise that you have it finished, because you're going to need to do some critical thinking about things, which is awesome. But if you want, I'm going to put a survey in at the end. If you complete the survey and you want one of us to check over your user persona or your customer journey, completely free, fill out the survey, book a meeting with either Aaron or I. Cool. We're going to look at it for free and give you some constructive feedback. And I know that you might want to keep things private or confidential to your business, and that's totally fine. So we can do that in kind of a controlled environment afterwards, anytime. So if you're interested in having a marketing agency actually look at some of this stuff and critique it and give you some feedback, that will be available. Got to wait to the end. Cool. So what is it? What is a persona? Let's dive right into it. A persona is a make-believe fictional caricature of your target customer. Normally, you're going to need several of these personas to give a relatively good example of who your target customer is. And they include a lot of information. So if you were to describe this isn't your perfect customer, this is a ideal customer, and you had to describe that to someone else, who would they be? And you have to kind of paint a picture around what are their likes, what are their dislikes, what are their interests, what are their hobbies, who are they, all of the information in between. And if we can start collecting that information and putting it in a place, we can actually use it. Typically, again, you're going to have, as few as one. Some businesses, depending on the products or services you're selling, will have multiple. And it really does depend on what your products are. But you definitely need to have at least more than one based on that customer life cycle. So we're going to talk about one specifically and how to create one, and you can reuse all of the information that you've learned today to create your next one and your next one and your next one based on who and what that persona is. Why the heck are they important? That's who is actually going to be paying you. So we really need to value their opinion. We need to value the way they value. At the end of the day, our customer is, without a customer, we're not a whole lot. So we really need to value who they are. And again, every customer is unique. So we kind of have to categorize them into segments. Who are we talking to? So the goal there is, if I have to group people together with common interests or who they are, their buying power, the things they like, the things they don't, that's going to kind of give you, the business, more information on, well, this is 20% of my audience. Well, maybe that takes up 20% of your marketing. It takes up 20% of your time. This segment might be bigger than that one. This one's smaller. This is emerging. This one has more lifetime value. They're going to have different characteristics, and that segmentation is very important to know for you to put your effort where you need to do that. And again, you can read these slides. I'm not going to read them to you. But yes, all of those things are true. The big one there, if I did have to repeat it, is you're going to walk a mile in your customer's shoes, which is really, really important to do. Cool. There are 5 steps to building them. We're going to go through all 5 in detail. If you've already downloaded the user persona from SprintPoint, it's completely free. It's actually ours. We build these documents and distribute them for free because we like people growing their business. We're going to go through these 5 steps together. Really, really straightforward. We're going to start analyzing. We're going to identify all the demographic data. We're going to research each category, and it's going to be on the template. And then after the workshop, you're going to have to expand and kind of fill in some of the blanks that you're probably not going to know off the cuff. So cool. Actually, I'm going to get Aaron. Aaron, can you throw the SprintPoint link? Oh, there it is. Aaron just put it in. He's always 3 steps ahead of me. If you haven't downloaded it already, Aaron just put it in chat. It's completely free. It's just an electronic document. It'll go to your email. It's a PDF. You can print it. So if we were doing this in person, like we used to do, everyone would have just got one of these when they walked in the door. They probably would have got a small handful of them to take back to their business. Right now, great. Download it, print it. You can use it in electronic form. If you just want to write on sticky notes and put it on there, cool, whatever you want to do. I am a firm believer, even though we're a digital agency, writing things down with a pen and paper, still an awesome way to record your notes. So there it is. The user persona is in the chat. I'm going to give everyone a minute to download it. They're free. It's Creative Commons. Share it. Use it. It's all good. We make them specifically for things like this. So I'm going to slow down just a minute, give everyone some time to get that document in front of them. If you have questions about it, then let me know. Fairly straightforward. Cool. Feel free to explore SprintPoint for other free business resources as well, because there's plenty of them out there. Right on. Cool. Don't stick around too long. You should have it. If not, you can get it. I'm going to go fairly slow just to get this started. Okay. Step one, obviously we need to figure out the segmentation from the highest level. So do we clearly have a few customer bases, a few segments that are fairly common? Do we have like an older demographic and a younger demographic? Do we have someone that is a one-time purchaser versus the lifetime purchaser? What do these segments look like? We you're going to know these better than we will, but you're going to have some groups of people that you can classify as the ideal customer, that persona that kind of exemplifies those characteristics. And you probably will have another one that exemplifies a different characteristics that are different. The goal is one user persona for the big group, another user persona for the next biggest group, and so on. So things to consider. Obviously, loyal customers are going to feel differently than a first-time buyer. So you might have a loyal customer segment that's got a lot of lifetime value with the business, that just knows it, that interacts with it all the time. That might be different than a first-time user. The purchase frequency, you might have heavy usage versus someone that is just using it once in a while. Those two customer bases can be different as well. Purchase value, some people go for the high-end stuff right away. Some people go for the low-end. And then products and services, you might have businesses or customers that are strategically come to you for one thing and never stray off that path. And you might have some people that are all over the board. Ideally, you're going to have these big buckets, and that is going to be what we're using here. And we do have a working example at the end. So if you're lost at this, we're going to kind of give you a perfect working example. Cool. So that's the first one. You just kind of need to know the buckets that you've got, and we'll start with bucket 1. 2, we're going to actually start recording some stuff on that document. So like based on your bucket number 1, your segmentation 1, we want to try and filter out all of these things. We want to start writing some of these things down into that, right into that template. There is a little QR code here too, with a little dinosaur. So later on if you want to take this presentation forward, you can just always remember that link that Aaron had there. That's where that QR code goes, is right to that downloadable document. Cool. Each user persona, so per bucket, each user persona is going to need, at the minimum, these are the minimum requirements in no particular order, and we're going to go over all of them. Age, gender and pronouns, occupation, education, their location, personality traits, lifestyle, and interests. And I'm going to go through those very, very one at a time and why they're important. Age seems straightforward. A younger audience cares about different things that an older audience does. Even sometimes there's overlap, but it's in the style, the imagery that you'll portray. Those two audiences are going to be very different. Gender and pronouns, very, very important today and age. This comes back to your communication. How are people being addressed? How do they want to be communicated to? We actually were thinking about a perfect example of this prior to the workshop. We're going to take a random problem. We're going to use a razor as an example. A razor can be used by pretty much anyone who wants to remove unwanted hair. The razor is a tool at the end of the day. People that are a different gender will use that tool differently. And if we're trying to sell a razor, we want to be proactive in addressing their problems. So every gender, every individual is going to be treating that product differently, and we want our product to solve their unique problems. So we want to take that prescriptive approach. So if we have two very similar personas, and one is one specific gender and one is another, we want to treat those two things differently to address their differences.
What I love about the razor example, and I'm going to just jump in for a minute, is that this is a solved problem. Like a razor is a very simple product. It solves a very simple problem. It cuts hair. That's it. So, man, woman, other, you don't really have a lot of specific needs for your razor beyond that it cuts hair. But from a marketing perspective, there's a lot of different ways you can approach selling that same product to a lot of different audiences. And you'll see this with like men's razors and women's razors coming in different colors, very different packaging. As we start to be more accepting as a society of, different ways of identifying, you could make an argument for even targeting your razor towards non-binary groups or anyone who doesn't fit into a neat little bucket. So in the day and age where we're becoming more and more acceptable, there's one school of thought that says we should be abandoning user personas and really not trying to categorize people into specific groups. And then there's another school of thought that says, well, if we're trying to support a wider range of people, we can actually target products differently to fit the needs of different groups more specifically. And this might be in imagery, representation, any number of things, when at the end of the day, the product is very simple, but the way you talk about it can be adjusted very drastically depending on who you've identified as your target audience.
It's quite successful to actually do it that way and treat everyone as kind of an individual, even if there are individuals that share the same common characteristics. Occupation, obviously super important, especially if you were to sell like a product that is specific to a teacher or someone in the trades. They're going to have a lot of similarities across the board. So like any kind of specialized product that is occupation specific, very, very important to know. It's also going to go into their social groups. Who are they interacting with on a day-to-day basis? Is it a lot? Do they have a job that puts them out in the public eye where there's lots of contact or not? Education, also really important. It's just another demographic identifier on what that individual values or what they've been exposed to. Location, obviously, if we have a bunch of people from one area or another, we might need to look at shipping things. We might need to look at communicating how this is all going to work, especially around big sale events, Black Friday, the holiday season, anything around that where we can pull in location-based information. It also is going to reflect the imagery that you'll use within your own website. If a lot of your customer base is coming from a major city, you might want to have more of a metropolitan or a metropolis feel rather than something that's a little bit more rural focused. Personality, everyone's got a different one, but we have some characteristics that are similar. Are they an introvert? Are they an extrovert? How do they approach social interactions? Lifestyle, everyone, again, might seem like common sense. And then interests, they're going to have hobbies. They're going to have things outside of the product purchasing itself. But normally your product is going to it has to fit in with their interests and lifestyle to be relevant. So for myself, we like Japanese knives. If you didn't like cooking, it's probably not a good idea to try and market Japanese knives to people that don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And that goes back to lifestyle and interests. So each one of your personas, like per template, per sheet, per user persona, is going to need all of these things. You can write them in sentence form. You can write them in bullet points. You can write them however you'd like to write them, whatever communication style works best for you. But all of that information should be there. And that is going to go under the who is it section. The who is it section right on your sheet. There are a few other things that I want to bring up while we're on this slide. We normally give personas a name. It's a fake name, and it's in relationship to what that persona is. So in today's workshop, we're going to follow Ivy Influencer. You're going to be introduced to her in a little bit, and we're going to follow Ivy through not only her user persona and who Ivy is, but we're also going to follow her through the customer journey as well. So Ivy Influencer is just a fake name so that you can distinguish one persona from the next. You can do whatever you want to make that seem better for you. Normally, we try and put a portrait there as well. I would just use a free stock site to find a portrait, or if you've got something already in mind. But again, it kind of gives us a person to talk to. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a life form, so that when we're communicating through email or SMS or even the copywriting on your website, it's who am I actually talking to? I have to give that individual a face, who they are. There's a few other things, the descriptor and the quote. We're going to get to those in a little bit. Very, very important as well. Great. Research. This is where you're going to have to do a little bit outside this workshop. You're probably not going to be able to have these things at the top of your head. There's some questions to answer, and they're further in the worksheet. Attitude, behavior, and goals. So really we want to know this from a marketing standpoint is obviously we need to meet their needs. We want to know their attitude to buying a new product, whether they're engage and adopt something new or something old. Are they looking for something that's going to be a tried and true approach, or they're going to be looking for something innovative and new? And then their behavior. So each one of your personas is going to need to cover this. There are a variety of ways to capture this information. So one is through social media. And normally if you're a small business and you don't have like a big data set to work from, and if you don't have a bunch of interest categories or affiliate audiences that you're pulling in through your active marketing efforts, so normally paid advertising, the best thing to do is go, who are my VIP customers? I'd go into Shopify. I would look at who's spending the most money. You have their name. I would go look them up on social media and see what they're doing. I'm going to say, great. And that can seem a little bit creepy, but understanding that VIP audience is very, very important. You don't, by no means would I suggest following them or stalking them. But again, we are trying to get a little bit more involved with them. If they're a VIP audience and, they've made multiple purchases, most of those people really like your brand anyways. You can feel free to reach out and ask them to complete a survey or talk to them on the phone. And more likely than not, they're going to be pretty receptive to interacting with the business owner on that level because they already like your product. A VIP section is fairly easy to set up in the back end of Shopify, whether it be on purchasing frequency, a dollar spend, website visits. Like you can easily search that through the analytics dashboard, even on the core Shopify product. But I'd be looking to find a few of those individuals and actually either talk to them or look them up. Great question, Tamara. There are tons of other ways to capture this data. So one of them would be through a local business center or local chamber of commerce or something at the federal level where you can actually get a consumer report. You can also buy consumer reports from agents like larger businesses, McKinsey, Deloitte. You can go get a variety of this information. It can be expensive. Sometimes if you get access to it, it really make the difference, especially if you're thinking about putting on a larger campaign. The other thing that you can do is talk to other business owners in the community, like the people in chat. So if you want to arrange something and you're kind of operating in the same space, but maybe you're not selling to the same locations or there's not too much competition, sharing is caring. You can do that. We're all peers in this chat here. So the more you share and the more that you talk to people and figure out what's going on, super relevant for anyone in the craft brew industry. So like Ontario or Canada, crazy right now for craft beer. Those individuals in that community really understand what collaboration is like. They talk like crazy. They do all kinds of product stuff together. They do all kinds of joint marketing. They share. At the end of the day, they share. And it really does come back to they want to put out a product that people that can buy their product will like. So they talk about these things. They talk about what to create, how they're creating it, when it releases, all of the things. They talk about it. And that's really at the small business level, that's what most people can afford. So yes, you can go to McKinsey and you can buy a report or you can have a study done. On this side, I would say this is where I would start. I would start by talking with other peers in the industry, talk to my VIP customers, interact with people on social media, maybe put out a survey. Cool. Super affordable to get some of this stuff, but very, very necessary. So you can start building this now. So based on all of those points that we've talked about, you can start throwing this stuff in. What you'll notice is you'll make mistakes. You'll, crumple it up, throw it out, start again. Fairly straightforward. Give it a name, fictional character, descriptor, who they are, what they like, what they don't, all of the details. Once you've got it done, I'd start another one. Normally what we are trying to do from our angle is we're going to have a few of these and we're going to give them a percentage of how much this audience actually takes up. Sometimes you're going to have people in the middle that don't fit in perfect spots. That's okay. But from our standpoint, you can kind of paint with a broad brush and make sure the personas are accurate. Cool. Once it's complete, we're going to actually analyze it. So I'm going to show you what a good user persona looks like. And everyone is going to have this as an example. And we would take this into an advertising. We would take this into paid ads, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube, Pinterest, any of the platforms we would be looking at. Here's what here's what you would be targeting. So you're going to use a lot of this information throughout your business, and no, it's not one place is better than another. It's kind of relevant for a bunch of places. Also, things to consider that might not fit perfectly into the template, but you should take into account day in the life. So great, not everyone works the 9 to 5, and not everyone has 1 kid or no kids or 5 kids. They're going to have different points in their buyer behavior. That do they always shop at night, or do they always shop on the weekend? Some brands, other products that actually interact with their life. So great, if they're interested in athletics, do they already have some brands that work for them? Cool. And then other primary sources of knowledge. So great, not everyone is a social media junkie. They might do a lot of reading. They might listen to a lot of podcasts. They might do a lot of audiobooks. They might be stuck in the car on the commute. Not everyone is glued to their phone as much as I am. But yes, you're going to need to figure out where else they get information, because if they're not getting information on social media, probably not a good idea to spend your time on social media targeting that audience. Cool. We are going to go over a working example, and this is by no means a perfect example for this purpose, but Ivy Influencer. We're going to go through all of the steps. You can actually see this. Hopefully this is large enough. You might, when you get the actual slides yourself, you're going to go through all of them. I'm just going to move my screen a little bit closer so I can read it. Cool. What you'll notice. So if we take it out of that template and turn it into something that's a little bit more web friendly. Great. Ivy's got a description. It's only a sentence and a half, which is cool. We have her gender. We have her pronouns. We know how she would want to be communicated to if we were doing some email marketing or essentially anything where we're doing outreach. We have her age. We have her location. The occupation. So cool. She's an influencer. She can be anything. The age demographic that she fits in. So we don't actually need like a birthday. We just need like, is she between 25 and 29? Cool. Her ethnicity plays a fairly large part, because we do want the images and the representation of that individual corresponding to what they're actually seeing from the brand. So if there's a mix match, if there's no proportions there, obviously that is not great. Income. What is their disposable income? If it's not a lot and you're trying to sell a high-end product, not a great fit. If it's more and you're trying to sell something less of value, but they care about value, it's going to be different. There's a few things that I want to bring your attention to. One of them is we normally put on here, when is the best time to interact with Ivy? So after how many purchases would I go to Ivy and ask for a review, for a prompt? And if Ivy is going to be a little bit more cautious with what she supports because she's an influencer, I'm going to wait further into how much she has interacted with our business before actually reaching out and saying, hey, do you want to get involved? Can I get your feedback? And that's going to be completely dictated on who that individual is. I would also I should have mentioned this before, but I do need to give a shout out to their local business, Karmico. All of this information is coming from them. They actually met us in a previous Shopify Meetup. And they're like, hey, you want to work together? We have. So all of this information is actually coming from a live Shopify store. You can actually Google them, karmico.ca. They sell clothing. They're doing really well. But this is what they have done to put together what one of their many personas looks like. Cool. So yes, you will need all of this information. Next, again, they're going to have a little bit of a larger quote because Ivy is Ivy, and she is going to have a much larger personality online than most. The goals and the attitudes are going to be unique to her. So great. I'm not going to read that out to you. Everyone can read that, hopefully. She wants to be different. She wants to have that uniqueness. She is not looking to go to the generic clothing store and just buy something off the rack. She's looking for something that's a little bit more personality. So very unique goals. And you are going to need to think about how we can help, how my product, how my service is going to help this user persona, this persona, Ivy, meet their goals. Cool. Hopefully everyone can read this. Go a little bit slower because that first paragraph is a lot. And hopefully, as you're kind of putting this down for yourself, the wheels are starting to turn, going, what can I actually do specific to my audiences? What can I do specifically to these personas? What do they care about? I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. From a Shopify perspective, this comes back to what information should be displayed on the product pages, what information should be displayed on your about content. If Ivy was really, really concerned about getting things quickly and being the first to know, is there a place where she can sign up for email marketing and be the first person to know when there's a new product release? What does the homepage look like in terms of how fast can she find the newest collection? How do I find something that's most related to them? So Ivy is going to influence how the store looks. It's going to influence how the store functions. So we've kind of got a little saying here, we build billboards for the customer, not the CEO. So the website, your Shopify store, if you're on Shopify, should be tailored to these people. They need to like it far more than you ever will, because they're going to be spending, and there'll be more of them than you, they will be spending far more time on the front end of your store than you will. So if Ivy was really concerned about having great customer support, you might think about having a chatbot. If she's really concerned about delivery times, we might want to post those on product pages saying that we've got expedited delivery. If she was really concerned about having something that was a little bit more in the realm of scarcity, like a limited run, we would need to tell Ivy, yes, this is one of 10. This is a collectible. This is a limited run. It's only available for a limited time. So all of this information about this specific persona is going to lead you to craft your product pages different, your homepage different, how your collections are laid out, which ones are featured and which ones aren't. And we kind of have to marry that up with all of the other personas that you have. So things can start getting a little bit more complicated when you've got some potentially differing personas that all value things in a different regard. Lastly, so this is even more. Yes, again, and we're still on Ivy's profile persona. There's even more information here. It's going to cover the behavior, her attitudes, how fast she makes a decision. This is all going to impact, great, do I send an email to her? Do I actually engage in the abandoned cart or the browse abandonment? How fast does that actually happen? Should I go and bug her about that? Am I going to have a positive result at all? Each persona is going to be different. I'm going to give you guys a chance to read this. But ultimately, we want to affect a positive experience. And the more we know, the higher the likelihood is that you will do a good job. If you didn't know anything about your customer, it'd be really hard to do a good job. And you should just take up darts. Cool. Quick minute to read all of this. If you have any questions, good time before we move on. Good question from Lori in chat, which was, what happens if your loyal customers shop in store, but not online? Cool. If they're shopping in store and you happen to be able to be in store, I would talk to them. Cool. And I would ask them, why do you choose to come into the store than buying online? Do you know about these options? Maybe they don't. You need to talk to those customers as much as possible. Maybe they just like coming to hang out and that your store is really beautiful and it's just a good place to actually be, which would be most retail stores take great pride in how they look and their atmosphere. You should still be looking to build an online community. Being kind of an e-commerce vendor, you're going to have in-store loyalty and then online loyalty. Same thing for most restaurant brands. Are they takeout people or are they dining in? You're going to have people that spend all their money through takeout, and they're going to be people that spend all their money dining in because that's just the way that their lifestyle dictates. That's a great lifestyle question. Is I'm not comfortable shopping online. I'm always going to go to the store. Depends on your product as well. If you're selling clothing like jeans or something that's a little bit more fitted, shoes, there's lots of people that buy shoes online and have a great time. Me personally, there's no way I'm buying a pair of jeans online. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to try them on. I'm going to see the fit, make my selection, and then move on from there. I just don't have any confidence that I'd find a pair of jeans that I'd like online. But again, if I see your ad and I see the nice pair of jeans, just because I'm not converting online doesn't mean I don't have any value. Yes, Ravi, great question. I'm going to get to Mina as well. Are communications different for subscribers versus non-subscribers? Yes, there are. So one, we are very limited in how we can interact with people that don't actually subscribe to one of your email lists. So like Canadian communication law says we can't really go out and do a whole bunch of active marketing to you through email. We'd have to use something like social media or paid advertising to get to them. And the communication is going to be probably different. You're going to be actively pursuing a new audience. If they are a current subscriber, it's probably because they've already made a purchase or are familiar with your brand. So treating a new customer and an existing customer, definitely going to have a different feel. Big time. You're going to kind of welcome them. You might want to indicate why you're good. If I've already got previous experience with you, I'm going to understand your quality. I'm going to understand your shipping times a little bit better. I'm going to know what you're all about. Maybe not to the fullest extent, but I'm going to know more than none. So definitely the new customer versus returning customer definitely have a different feel. I mean, how much time would you budget to complete one persona? It really depends on how complicated your products are and how much time goes into the decision-making process. So it doesn't take me a long time to pick out a pair of socks for $5. If I was buying something that's worth $500, I'm going to have more that is influencing me because the purchasing decision is greater.
Another thing that's really going to make an impact here I want to touch on is how much competition there is in your space. I'm going to go back to our razor example. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of possible razors that your consumer could possibly buy. Standing out on the shelf compared to their other options is very, very difficult. This is where branding becomes extremely important. And in order to have effective branding, you need to understand the values of whoever's purchasing your products. On the far opposite end of the spectrum, if you're selling something extremely specialized, like medical equipment or something highly technical, where your audience is gravitating towards your product because it's innovative and new and they really don't have a lot of options within their space, a lot of these factors are going to be significantly less important simply because branding doesn't play in as much in terms of whether or not people are making that purchase.
Great. Yeah, cool. And I completely agree. That's why Aaron's here, to give you the real answers. Cool. I don't think there's any other questions in chat. Are there any industry reports that I would recommend? That's actually a great question. I might include some stuff on our next newsletter that's going out specifically about that. I don't have any off the top of my head that I can think of. But that is a good question. In terms of resources, the Shopify blog is fantastic. So like they do all kinds of customer-based research. They just put out a big statistical analysis of how 2021 went. So you can look at that. It does really depend on the industry you operate in to try and find good resources based on your customer base, because not everyone needs everything. It depends where your customer base is located, United States versus Canada versus Europe versus somewhere else. So I would need to know a little bit more to make a better recommendation. A good question. Normally what I would recommend to do, because I think there's quite a few people here from the Ontario Shopify community, I would look up either your Chamber of Commerce, good question for them, your local business center, and they've got a bunch of resources as well. And that's where I'd start, or your city hall. And that would be like, great, all of those places should have something for you for little to no cost that will get you pointed in the right direction. And then normally you can book an appointment and get even more information based on the local stuff. But as your industry grows and as your customer base expands, you're going to need to have more and more contacts that have more and more touch points around the world. Cool. We are going to leave Ivy. Or sorry, one more slide about Ivy. Cool. And then we're going to leave Ivy. There are 3. So yes, great. You've created a user persona. You can fill in the gaps. These things are going to need to be updated over time. And there's going to be other influences in Ivy's life. Ivy is not this static person that is not going to change or be infected by the news or change her opinion. There's going to be other things that evolve. So normally we recommend going back to these when it becomes important to change them. So is the audience still the same? It depends on what influences and what industries you operate in, but you need to come back to them as often as you see fit, as long as the information is accurate. So when it becomes not accurate, you're going to need to go back. Very similarly to managing a paid ads campaign. So great, the search patterns for that individual are great until they're not, and then they need to be updated. So it's completely up for you to monitor how true your information is. Based on these personas, so based on what you've done, there are 3 key areas that you might want to update right away. 1, your email marketing. If you're doing that, whether you're just using Shopify or using Klaviyo or whatever, you will probably want to update some of that information based on the information that you're gathering here. Your digital marketing efforts, so paid and organic, like 150%, you're going to want to update based on how these user personas are perceiving your content. And I would start with definitely the paid side, because you want to get the most value for your buck there. The organic stuff needs to be good as well. So like the reels that you're putting out, or any of the stories that you're producing, or any of the posts that you're making, definitely need to be in line with their values. And then, like I mentioned, storefront optimizations can happen over time in terms of that. We're going to go through each of these really quick. Great. You should understand what a loyal customer is. Like, is it after 5 purchases? Is it after 3? What is that user persona like? You should be sending out recommendations to them. If you are using email marketing, frequently bought with, maybe there's a limited time sale, a limited run, you should be able to reach that audience quite easily and quickly. Definitely start using flows. Like for a small business, flows are extremely important, because it just allows you to do more and not burn through a whole bunch of time. And obviously adjusting your copywriting to affect how they want to be communicated with. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. If you're leaving it really general right now, you might want to customize it. Cool. The digital stuff, cool. I'm not sure how involved everyone is with their paid campaigns, if everyone's doing a little bit on the paid side, or if it's all organic, but definitely you need to make sure that it is in alignment. The dollar spend that you're putting out is in alignment with who your customers actually are and what they care about. And this goes down to like your keyword research. Are you targeting things that are relevant to that user base? Is one user base way bigger? Should be a lot of different budget to the bigger community rather than the smaller community? Cool. And again, the promotional tactics. If they really care about free shipping or shipping times, that's the stuff that needs to be communicated through the ads as well. Saying, great, things are in stock. We don't have supply chain issues. You buy it today, you get it in 2 days. People really like that. Cool. And then the storefront, you should be featuring products that they care about the most. So like, what is that hero image? What is actually that first collection they see? Those personas should tell you really what they care about. The navigation is really important too. So if you don't have a tech savvy audience, or if the audience is a little bit older, or if they're doing something with something that's a little bit outdated, you really want to make that really, really streamlined. If you've got an audience that's a little bit more tech savvy, that likes to discover and spend time and really get into the nitty gritty, you might want to expand the amount of content you get. You might want to do a more story driven approach. Product stories are awesome. So Shopify 2.0 is awesome for that. And it really depends on what information your audience wants. From our standpoint, normally from an agency level, we're always starting with the user. So like, who the heck are you selling to? And what the heck is your product? Because you are going to be the best person to actually describe those 2 things. So who's the customer, and how's your product what is the product and how is it meeting their needs? After that, we go back to kind of our playbook going, let's just give the audience what they want. What do they want? And you are going to be the best person to actually come up with those answers. What do they want? What works? What doesn't? That's the best starting point for a small business before you get into larger tactical things where you're pulling in larger data sets to expand. But that's it. Great. Now we are leaving Ivy into the customer journey. So I will pause for a second. Does anyone have any questions about user personas before we move on to the customer journey? Bueller, it's okay. You do, you don't, you don't. Everyone's like mad typing right now. No questions are fine too. Great so far. Thank you. We are both, Aaron and I can kind of speak for Aaron here too. We are both looking for the day when we can go back to doing this in person, because Shopify has some sweet offices. And I think we're all kind of fed up with Zoom, and doing something in person would be pretty cool. And it's fun. And normally they cater things, which is like even better. So which is great. And hopefully that comes back. But until then. Okay, the user journey. If you haven't heard this word before, we're going to explain it. This is how the user goes from not knowing anything about you to making a purchase and being an advocate. And not everyone goes through the whole thing, but you as a business owner get to control step 1 to step 101. So we kind of want to lay that out for you. So even for an online brand, even for someone that doesn't have a physical store, it's you get to control how people see you, where they see you, what they see, what happens post-purchase, what happened, that you get to control it. All the interactions are yours. So yes, it's the step-by-step representation of your business. So like step 1, this, let's go through it. Cool. First things first, there's another document to download. It's really, really easy. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be in a Canvas format. It's 11 by 17. Again, I wish we could have just distributed these in person, but that's okay. You can print it, or you can just look at it online and draw it on a piece of paper. That works too. But we're going to go through all of these stages together. Shopify has some pretty cool resources about this. If you want to go back in time, they've got like a bunch of blog posts and cool. There are 5 stages. So before that, yes, here's the QR code. Aaron, can you go through that? Oh, yeah. See, look at that. Look at that. He's okay today. There it is in the link, the source. It's right there. It was on the sign up page as well. If you've got one in front of you, that's cool. If not, there it is. I'm going to give everyone a minute to try and get it in front of them. I'm going to get one in front of me as well. Good to have one in front of me while I'm actually explaining it. Cool. Ooh. I'm going to tell you, Lisa, we are actually already recording this meeting, and you are going to get a copy of the entire video when it's done. It's going to be available on YouTube for all time, so that you can go back and watch it 50 times, and you can comment and like it and share it and ring the bell for notifications, and you can do all the things. But yeah, absolutely. If you want to take notes or something specific, that's why we're here. But yeah, we definitely want to make sure everyone can get this information, because it's pretty relevant to most businesses. Cool. So you can download that. It's free. Again, your email, it goes to your email, you download it. It's a PDF. Cool. There are 5 stages in their customer journey. There's awareness, consideration, the purchasing decision itself, the delivery of the service, and then advocacy. So on that document, left to right, the very beginning is that potential customer has never had an interaction with your brand before, ever. They don't know about you. They've never heard about you. To the other end of the spectrum, where they actually love who you are. They love the mission. They've bought several products. They advocate to your friends, and they're kind of a loyal customer. Cool. So the purpose of a customer journey is to try and get someone through the entire process and to understand it from a business standpoint. And we're going to go through each stage, and then we're going to apply it to Ivy. Cool. Oh, there we go. So awareness. Cool. Awareness is kind of the straightforward one. Awareness is sales. Awareness is like, how does someone come in contact with the brand for the first time? There's going to be a lot of things here. So I'm going to explain the document as it pertains to the awareness, and then I'm going to explain the document as it pertains to step 2. So on the document that you've got in front of you, on the x-axis, across the x-axis are your stages, and across the y-axis going down, you are going to have all the things that your business can do and measure according to how Ivy or your personas interact at each stage. So cool. In awareness, we have all the things happen in awareness. There are activities such as they're learning about you on social media. They're learning about you through a paid ad. Potentially, they're learning about your business through word of mouth marketing or referral, something like that. Maybe they drive by and you've got a retail business and you've got a new sign out front, cool sandwich board outside. They're having an interaction with your business for the first time. They're not really sure what it is, but that's the first activity that they're going to make. Each one of your personas, Ivy might not have a car, for example, or she spends a lot of time online, or she does have a car and drives around a lot, and she's more likely to see you during her commute. We want to note that down as part of Ivy's customer journey. The customer goals, so the next block down, customer goals are what does she normally do? What does Ivy normally do in terms of when something new comes into her life? So the customer goals might be she's got a new problem in her work life. She's got a new something that she needs to get met. Maybe she wants to keep up with a fashion trend. Her goals are going to be to do something before she is introduced to your product. So she's going to have a problem. She's going to have a want. We need to understand what her want is before we can get to the razor. So great. I want to deal with unwanted hair. That's what I want to do first. A razor is an option to do that. And now I can move forward. Cool. The touch points, fairly straightforward. Social media, walking into the store the first time, hearing about it from a friend, reading a review online, maybe some of the radio ad, newspaper, something. But what is Ivy most likely to do to have her first touch point in the awareness category? Up for you to decide based on your customer. And then their experience with this touch point. Is it good? Is there a bunch of confusion? Is it kind of, does the business name make sense? Is it very clear that what you're trying to offer? How do people interpret the business for the first time? Up for you to decide, but we're going to try and always increase someone's experience through this, and we're going to carry that through the entire time. KPIs are for you. KPIs are for you. So the key performance indicators are going to be like, how do I want more people like Ivy purchasing my product? Do they have the right things to make sure this is successful? How does the business measure if I can be successful attracting more of Ivy at this stage? So it's going to be through like open rate on email. It's going to be how many clicks I'm generating through social media, how many comments, how many shares. There's a whole bunch of that. And then an action plan. If you need to solve this problem, you need to actually write down a solution for you. So great. Maybe you're not doing paid ads. The action plan would be, I need to increase the amount of awareness to this target audience. Cool. Consideration. Column 1. There's the gist on column 1. Column 2, consideration. Ivy has had some interaction with your brand, knows a little bit about your product or service, and is now comparing your product or service to others. She is considering purchasing, but you're probably not the only person selling a solution. There's probably others in your industry that do the same. So there's not too many monopolies out there. They do exist where you might be the only exclusive seller of something specific, and kudos to you. But for the most part, maybe not. So we want to do in the consideration stage is just figure out where Ivy is going to find more information about the product she is looking for. So she's seen you, but now she's comparing your price to someone else's. She's comparing the customer service. Maybe she's reading reviews. And it depends. There are some people that treat reviews as like the holy grail, like, great, it's a 4.9 with like 1,000 reviews. I trust it. And there are other people that say, I'm not going to believe any of that at all because I think they're all fake. There's going to be people in either camp. Depending on their persona, they're going to value things differently, and they're going to treat the consideration phase differently. There'll be individuals that go, hey, mom, hey, dad, what did you used to do 30 years ago? And there's going to be others that don't have that in their life. They're going to do something else. They're going to talk to their friend group. They're going to read something. They might be looking for some social proof. They might be looking for a celebrity endorsement. There's going to be all different kinds of things. Here, you really need to work to your strengths. You can't be what you aren't. So you really got to rely on hammer home what makes you different and good in all the right reasons. So in column 2, the activities, great. Ivy in this case is probably going to look online. She's probably going to look at other influencers and what they're doing. She's going to make a Google search or two. She's going to look at through the platform and see if this brand can be trusted. The customer goals is to determine whether or not to go forward with you or someone else. That's going to be their goals at this stage. The touch points, great. Might be the website, might be talking to a friend that has already purchased, might be reading your Google My Business reviews, might be doing interacting with you in store. They might come and actually see and pick it up. The experience, again, up to you. Do they have a good experience when they pick up your product? Is the information online available? Is it a pain in the butt to get to? Depending on, can she call? Can she book a meeting? Is there a consult? KPIs, again, for you. I want to book more meetings. I want to get more people looking at product page X. I want to get them further into my pipeline. Again, this is all pre-purchase. The purchase has not happened yet. So I want to get more page views. We're not worried about conversions yet. The conversion has not happened. Great. So I want to get more people to the product page. I want to get more people adding things to cart. The action plan is maybe I've got to adjust my pricing. Maybe I've got to make the shipping notifications more available. Maybe I've got to maybe I've got to reduce a click in the process. Maybe I need to move some stuff around on the website to actually get it further and get more visibility. Maybe I need to highlight things more on social media. Maybe I need to apply things to a different industry. Cool. The purchasing decision. So on our sheet, this is the purchasing decision. On the worksheet, it's called intent. This is, they're buying. They are buying the product. Now they're going to be looking at different things. They're going to be looking at warranty information. They've made their decision. They have made it. Now they're going to be looking at all kind of the nitty gritty. I'm not going to look at the warranty and return policy for your company before I've kind of made a further step in the decision-making process to like, okay, great. I'm going to make this step. Now what? They're going to want different things. They're going to be looking at your return policy. They're going to be looking at how you handle how you handle reviews, how you handle returns, how you handle the shipping process, when I'm going to get it, is it available? There's a bunch that can happen here. If you've got a retail store, they're going to be looking for your hours. They're going to be looking to make a phone call. They're going to be looking what the parking situation is like. Is it easy to get to? Is it not? I'm going to make that purchase. So everyone's going to have a kind of a different take on this, because Ivy is going to have, my view might never purchase in store. And there'll be other people that always purchase in store, but the parking is a real pain in the butt to get to you. Or we live in Canada, the winter kind of sucks. What is the roadblock for them doing that? Again, you're going to go through that intent purpose, that buying decision purpose, one at a time, and determine the touch points. So what do they need to be aware of? Do they need to be aware of that when they make this, it's a custom order and it's going to take them 3 weeks? Do they have to sign the terms and conditions and get that back to you? What is available? Is there a sale and it's a limited time offer, and if they don't buy it, they're going to miss it? Is it a limited time run? Cool. We need to be really, really straightforward here. We are absolutely setting the expectations at this point. Everything we say really, really, really must be true, because if someone reads that piece of text that says, great, I'm going to get it in 72 hours, or I'm going to get this before the big one is, if you order it today, you'll receive it by Christmas. And that's like right before the buying decision. It's right there. If you order today, you'll get it by Christmas. They better get it before Christmas. And we have to be very true to this, because if not, they're going to have a lot of ill will. So we can treat this example exactly like the buy it now, get it before Christmas. This is it. Cool. The service delivery. Cool. They've made the purchase. Now what? Now what? Great. They feel good. A little hit of dopamine. I just ordered the thing. Cool. It's going to come. Now what happens? You're obviously going to send them a receipt. And there's going to be some transactional emails. Awesome. Shopify does a great job of that. Now what? Now what? Now it's a wait. And we don't want people to be in this stage very long without having good communication. So for Ivy, obviously she's probably going to want to be updated on the status of her package. Maybe there's a tracking code. Maybe there's something that we need to do. Maybe it's an actual text message that she gets saying, hey, thanks for supporting a small business. We're putting it together. Cool. Those activities need to go there. If I was making the purchase, I really don't care about the tracking code. When it comes, it comes. I'm There's no urgency ever in my life. For Ivy, it's going to be different. Their goals, they're probably excited about it. Ivy's probably excited. She's probably looking forward to it. How do we actually build on that? She's going to want to be kept informed of it. She might want the brand to reach out to her. There's lots of things that can happen there. And it's all about your communication style and what the person is looking for. The touch points. Can I reach out to her through an SMS message? Has she signed up for that? Texting. Do my receipts have a bunch of extra verbiage? Do we need to gather anything from her? Is the shipment going to send in it as a partial order? Do we need to let her know it's going to come in 2 different boxes on 2 different days? There's a whole bunch of things that happen there. The experience. This is where the experience can really go down. There's money on the table. They've put some skin in the game. You've set their expectations. If we don't live up to them, this is where things can go sideways in a hurry. So we want to make sure it doesn't. So this is kind of like the really, really critical step. We want to keep the paying customers happy and returning. We need to keep this experience high. This is where we would go back to them in the future and ask how we did. Is there something that you were unsure of? I'd go back to that VIP audience first, and I would go back to a non-VIP audience afterwards and say, how can I do better? So we're going to try and increase that. The KPIs for you might want to reduce the delays in shipping. You might want to save a day or 2 on shipping. You might want to communicate a little bit better. You might want to set their expectations. You might want to put a handwritten card in the box. So I read an interesting quote the other day. Your product packaging is the only form of marketing that has a 100% open rate. It's true. They're going to open the box. They're going to open that packaging. And what do they expect? That KPI there is that's part of the service delivery. Are they expecting a little sampler of the next thing? Are they expecting a discount on the next product? There's all kinds of things that can fit in there. And an action plan, you might want to start one of these things. You might want to refine how you're actually doing this. Maybe you've got a refer a friend program that you're just launching. But the action plan would be to modify an existing process or put a new process in place to increase the experience. So if the experience is already good, your action plan might be to reduce costs or save time. If the experience is bad, you are going to want to obviously fix the things that are causing the negative portion of that experience. Cool. Advocacy. The purchase has been made. They've had time to interact with the product or service. They've had time to do something with the brand. And now at this point, it's a crucial moment where are they going to turn into a returning customer or remain a one-time shopper? So what levers do I have to push flip as a business owner to get someone into becoming an advocate, purchase again, start interacting with the brand more? There's a whole bunch of things. So in terms of activities, I am definitely going to want to continue to have my social media, have the things that led to the purchase in the first place be available to Ivy. So if she liked it and she's interacting with it, I'm going to make sure she can have more of it. The customer goals are probably going to be met at this point. The goals are going to be met. The product has either done or not done the job. If it has done the job, the goals might just be I want to show this off to my friends because I think it's like the coolest thing in the world. And that was like the fidget spinner. It's like, cool, I've got one. And like everyone was like, yeah, you don't have one because they're really hard to get. And cool. Their goals might be to show off. Their goals might be to buy another one. If it's a consumable product, they might want to try and fit that into their lifestyle a little bit more. They might want to upgrade. They might want to downgrade. They might want to buy 2 of something. They might want to gift it. Their customer goals are going to be different based on who that is. So Ivy might want to gift it. She might want to become an influencer because she's an influencer. She might want to become an advocate and actually sell some of these things for herself and get a commission. There'll be all kinds of things. The touch points, again, email marketing, SMS, social media. You can reach out, pick up the phone and call. Hey, how do you like it? You'd be surprised. You can send them a letter. You can do a whole bunch of things to try and get feedback. The experience. So normally we don't want to harass people. We want to just be like a soft tap on the shoulder going like, hey, how did you like it? Can I get some feedback? You might also like this. If I use a restaurant example, it'd be like, oh my goodness, this pasta was so good. They had a good experience. And the waiter would be, great, if you like the pasta, you really got to try the steak next time. If you really like that, then you got to try this. So a recommendation from your end would be highly appropriate. KPIs for you is, how do I have a higher lifetime value of customer? I am trying to increase Ivy's amount that she spends with me. If I go back in time, I look at Ivy's persona. Her lifetime value of customer is about $1,000. Is she already nearing that? Has she bought everything that we sell? If we sell a consumable product, how can I increase the frequency? If she already owns all the things, it's going to be really hard to get more of the things to her. So it really depends. If she at the beginning or is she at the end? The action plan. Can I go back and get a review? Yes or no? Can I go get a testimonial? Can she share a picture of this online? Can she follow us on social media? Can she be more involved with the brand's day-to-day? Do we want to include her in a focus group for future product development? Does her voice really matter in terms of where the company is growing? There's going to be a whole bunch of things that you are going to want to include that audience in that will give them more of a voice. So there's tons. How do we determine metrics like lifetime value? So LTV, great question. So normally, if you're using, so not so great in Shopify, I don't know of a report you can run in Shopify. There's going to be in Shopify an average order size, and that average order size you can get right on the analytics dashboard. It'll be like right in the middle. Separate services like Klaviyo will give you a lifetime value based on that individual user. You can also go get this from Shopify. If you were to go to customers, you could find someone that fits Ivy's persona. You could bring that data up and you could look at all of their previous purchase history. If you're using Shopify POS, all of their in-store products history is going to be available as well. So if you're using mixed system, it's going to be a little bit harder. If you're online to Shopify and you're using Shopify POS, you're going to have all that data in one. That's the best way to do it. And you look at it on an individual level. It's lifetime value of customer. Again, we're aggregating a whole bunch of information to put it into Ivy. I would go take some live customer data. I would be going like, what do they buy? How are they buying it, frequency? And I would be rewrapping that in going, here's my 10 people that kind of look like Ivy. Let's tally their totals up. Let's actually give them that over a time. So lifetime value is, I need a time component. It's over 2 years. On average, they spend this much. The first 2 years they interact with me, they are going to spend on average this much. Cool. Different personas will have a different lifetime value because their initial purchase and their lifetime value will be different. Some people make the big purchases early and some people make them later. You as a business, obviously this affects your cash flow. It's going to be, if I had to choose a customer to do business with, how do I measure that? Do I want all of the value up front or do I need to extract it over time? Completely up to you. So yes, how do you determine metrics like lifetime value? Back end of Shopify, looking at personas, it'll tell you how much they bought and all their purchase history. Klaviyo, it'll just say lifetime value. Cool. We are going to want to do things like AOV. So AOV is average order value. We're going to want to make sure those things are going up over time. So if the average order value right now is $50, I'm going to want to, one of my goals as a business is increase the average order value from 50 to 60. There are very, very easy ways to do this, and there are very, very hard ways to do this. One of the easiest ways to do it is saying free shipping for orders over $100. And it's going to incentivize people to put more things in their cart. It just naturally will happen because people will strive for the free shipping, and I'm going to move my average order value from 50 closer to my goal. And sure, I might have to give up a little bit of margin because I'm paying for shipping. So you're going to have to work those numbers out together. But very good question. And again, the longer they've had time to interact with the business, normally that's a good thing. If they continue to purchase time and time again, the advocacy gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Cool. And that is the customer journey map. Every single persona is going to get a different journey map, and their process will be different. They're going to value things differently. They're going to have different touch points. Their experiences will be different, and we want to make sure that we're hitting them at the right time. So for Ivy, maybe she really values communication. She spends a lot of time on her phone. There are other people, maybe if they're in the trades, they don't spend any time on their phone. Maybe they don't have internet access at the job site, and they don't spend a ton of time in email. So our email marketing efforts aren't going to go as far. we should be measuring our success rate across the board. Cool. There it is. There it is right there. That's what you've downloaded. We've gone through all of the things, again, in the columns. Normally what should happen is these need to update as frequently as your user personas. If your user persona changes and updates significantly, it's a good chance the buyer journey map will change to reflect the change in the user persona. So again, from a marketing standpoint, if I know your customer and I know your product, normally I'm going to be able to play with the levers within this map to attract more people to buy and get to them at the right time. So from a company standpoint, we have to value things more than just money. So like I want my product reviews to go up and I want them to be 5-star reviews. I want my social media following to go up and I want them to have more interaction rate. I want to get more customers from emerging markets. So if I've expanded into the States, I want more of that demographic of people to be buying my product. So there's going to be specific things that you as a business are going to want. And yes, most of them trans back into the bottom line. You're going to make more money. But from a more simplistic standpoint, we need to care about increasing our follower account engagement. And in turn, that will help create more money. So cool. Those need to update. Moving forward. Great. You actually need to go do some work now. You need to go put a few of these together, trial it out, get some opinions on it, experiment. Cool. You'll need to understand the primary, secondary, tertiary audiences. Cool. Start with the primary. Very common example. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customer base. You should really, really know that 20% of your customer base. Using these two documents, you're going to be able to explain that customer base to someone else to help your business grow. Cool. Right on. Questions. We're at the end. 4:17. Look at that. Slides, the full recording is going to get sent to everyone. Awesome. If you really liked it, you can connect with me or Aaron or 2H Media on LinkedIn. There are more workshops. Yay. If you like this one, yay. We're going to do more of these. It's one a month. We are going, 2H Media is going to be doing one a month for like hopefully forever because we find them really fun. You can find those at events.shopify.com. They're free. You just sign up. It'll be like this one. You get an email with the Zoom link. We'll hang out. And eventually we go back hopefully to in-person stuff and you'll end up seeing this in person. Great. Specific questions. Now's the time to ask. Give me a call. Don't actually call me. I had someone in my previous workshop actually call me right there. That is my cell phone number. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm putting my phone on silent. Cool. Or you can email me. Right on. The floor is wide open. Mina, thank you. Absolutely. Okay, next thing. I am going to drop a link in the chat, or Aaron can drop a link in the chat. We have a survey because the Meetups program is just starting back up again. If you would like to weigh in on how you felt about this one, or if you'd like to leave us a recommendation for a future workshop topic, and if you would like to have your customer journey map or user persona evaluated by us, you can fill out that survey. It's in the chat in a minute.
Yep, I posted it there. It's just one question up. Oh, I may have direct messaged that actually.
Cool. It'll be in the chat. You can just fill it out. Cool. We'd love the feedback. Again, if you have a specific topic that you want us to talk about, it will be done exactly like this. And there's a good chance the really, really good workshop topics, you'll actually get sprint point documents. We actually make all these. So if it's a really good topic and we really, really like your idea, I'm going to reach out to you and say, that's awesome. And we're going to do something with that idea. And you'll actually get this cool for everyone. So the more feedback, the better. I am getting a lot of like thank yous and everything in the chat, which is sweet. I am reading this to make sure we don't have any questions missed. Cool. Reading. Again. Not pay shipping going. Yeah, Lisa. Yep. Good point. Yep. If you've got, there are some people. So the question was, she has a Shopify store, like an online store, and then a retail store. obviously the people that are buying in store aren't paying for shipping. There's going to be a subset of audience that they never want to go visit you in store. That's just them. They don't. There's quite a bit of audience that will have built trust with you in store and then are confident purchasing online from you because it's just convenient, especially during the winter months. I don't want to clean up my car. I'm just going to go support the COVID was a perfect example. I don't want to risk something. Maybe I've come into contact with some people. I'm just going to order online, have it delivered. And obviously, if you're purchasing in store, there's not going to be a shipping charge. But those two audiences that are purchasing online in store are different. There can be crossover. And what you will find is and what can happen is the more trust you build with someone in store, the more likely they are to make that same trust with you online or to refer someone to you. They'll make a Google search and then they'll purchase online from you because they've got the trust. Cool. Do you have an example of the customer journey filled out? That's a great question. I do not. That might be something I complete and send through our email marketing for the month of March. Maybe. You surveyed our customers last year. Is that too soon? Well, last year is kind of relative. Was it like last March or was it like 60 days ago? Tamara? Normally, I wouldn't recommend sending a survey to everyone. I would make it a little bit more specific, and that way the surveys can be a little smaller. So like the one-time shopper versus the VIP customer are always going to have different values. Depends on what you sell. The too soon is relative.
I'm also going to make another point here. If you have 100 customers and you ask all of them for a survey right now, only a handful of them are going to complete it. If you ask that same group of 100 customers to fill out a survey in 3 months, you might get a completely different sample of customers filling it out. So the ones who have already filled it out and don't feel like doing it again are probably just going to ignore that email. Depending on your email marketing software, you might have a way of actually preventing that survey request going back out to those customers that have already filled it out. That's getting a little more advanced. The big thing there is I would say, anything you're doing quarterly or 3 times a year, anywhere in that range, it's not going to be too frequent. Most of your customers are probably used to being bombarded several times a week by emails from all kinds of companies. So if you're not emailing people every single day, it's pretty hard to hit that upper limit in terms of reaching out to your customers too frequently.
I'm going to drop a link in chat because it seems appropriate. We have a self-plug. We have a YouTube channel. It's mostly Aaron. It's all Aaron right now using Shopify. Most of them are Shopify or email marketing guides. They're awesome. We started doing a bunch of video work at the beginning of COVID because we couldn't get in front of people. Lots of resources there for you to actually explore. We might end up, this is people are asking for a completed customer journey. That doesn't sound like out of the realm of possibility. So we might just do that. Can't promise it, but maybe. Cool. Right on. I'm going to stay in the room for a few more minutes for questions, comments, concerns, things. Right on. The next workshop's in a month. It's always the third Wednesday of the month. Third Wednesday? Is that how it is? It's the third Wednesday of the month. Always. 2H Media Workshop through Shopify. Oh, can you tell us exactly what you do?
You want to take us right back to slide 2?
I'm gonna go right back to the beginning.
We try not to spend too much time on this in these workshops because it is just about sharing the general information more than about marketing. But we do everything on the left there. We do e-commerce, web development, branding, email marketing, film photography, education. That's what this is. A little bit of crowdfunding and some digital advertising. We try to be full service in terms of everything e-commerce or e-commerce adjacent. So in terms of getting your product from concept to customer and then actually marketing it to your target audience, we can help you with pretty much every aspect of that process.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. The next workshop, if I was to look that up, I can give you the next workshop is on creating a post-purchase review strategy. So that would be in the 5th column there for advocacy. If you've already got a store and you've got an existing customer base and you're like, how the heck do I extract more value? I say extract, but how do I get more value out of post-purchase? Because normally that's where there's a lot of value lost. That is coming up March 16th. And that'll also get recorded. But yes, who doesn't want more reviews? Who doesn't want more cross-sell? Who doesn't want more people talking with the product after purchase? Cool. Right on. And thank you. Thank you for coming out on kind of an average winter Wednesday.